outside of the sort of porting of this code, you said that you and members of the team have been sort of playing with this tech for a while now. How has it been getting used in the project, like, over this time?
So I think one of the big things, at least that I've been using it for, even like years ago,
Hmm.
was making tests. So writing test cases, like exhaustive, comprehensive test cases, is notoriously boring, as every programmer knows.
That's why they don't
And
do it.
yeah, basically. And I find that AI is excellent for being more rigorous with your tests.
Mhm.
It can bang out super comprehensive tests for things that you know that you should be testing, but you're not because it's boring to write the test.
Mhm.
So that's been a big one. And it's also been just always helpful for like looking at performance analysis and things like that. Like for years, you've been able to like copy a perf profile and paste it into ChatGPT and ask like, "Hey, could you give me some theories on why this thing might be slow?"
Mhm.
And just having somebody to like throw ideas around with, like that intern,
Mm.
even though like a year ago, maybe GPT was not the smartest intern that you could get, but he was all right. And just every now and then he had a really good idea, and it seemed worth it to keep talking to the guy,
Mm.
even though he was just like sometimes get real confused or start obsessing about something unimportant,
Mhm.
like a real intern. Um, but there's been real value there for a long time. You just had to dig to
Mm.
find it, and nowadays it's like you don't even have to dig that deep. You just get pretty good stuff pretty regularly, and it's um, my own use of AI has evolved over time from like conversational with GPT and ChatGPT in the beginning when that came out, and then like GitHub Copilot, um, but then using Claude when they started making nice models, especially in the last year, um, and trying to just find ways to, um, I guess, make my job easier and make the browser better, make programming more efficient,
Mm.
faster, funner. I don't know. It's so ingrained in my daily workflow that I barely think of it as a separate thing anymore.
Mm.
Um, it's actually hard to imagine going back to not having it. That
Mm.
would be very frustrating, actually.
So it's kinda
Which I
like
guess,
I I I
yeah,
I guess kinda like going to an environment that doesn't have code completion to you.
right. Or uh, more like going to an area that doesn't have internet,
Mm.
uh,
Mm.
which sometimes can be really fun for as a creative thing where you're like, I'm gonna disconnect for a week and make a game or something like that. Like stuff I would do when I was younger, and that was fun. But um, now it would be very annoying to lose this thing now. And I think there is an interesting argument that some people have, which is that these plans are heavily subsidized at the moment. So
Mhm.
they are trying to win market share, and so they give away tokens for much cheaper than they really are, and they're just trying to lock you in to their ecosystem and whatnot. And fair point. That's definitely happening. That's also classic Silicon Valley playbook, right? Like that's how Uber ran for years, just like subsidizing everyone's cab rides
Right, yeah, the
or
Silicon Valley
burrito
model is
deliveries and shit. Yeah.
yeah, Valley model is basically burn as much money as possible until you get acquired.
Yes, or until you achieve total domination.
Yes, yes, yes.
Um, but acquired is probably the thing they actually aim for.
Mhm, mhm.
Domination is accidental. Um, but it does happen, and yeah, you can see that same classic playbook with the subsidized token plans and stuff. And But even so, like if it turns out that tokens, you have to pay way more for the tokens in the future, I think people are probably going to pay. Um, and it will just be an expense that the industry accepts, and the people who own shares of OpenAI and Anthropic and so on are going to get very, very rich from this whole thing.
Yeah. I
Crazy
think.
prediction, I know.
Yeah, I know. Next, you're gonna say they're gonna buy more RAM and GPUs. That's a
Oh, you don't think they have enough?
no. Oh, I hope they have enough. I really do.
Mm.
I had to buy a new drive recently, and it cost me like 200% of what it should cost. Like, oh.
Mm.
Thankfully, I upgraded my system. I now have a DDR5 system, 9800 X3D. Thankfully, my housemate had some leftover RAM because AM5 is unstable with 4 sticks. So he had 4 sticks and he had 2 that he wasn't using because I did not want to pay. I think it would have been like 1,000 Australian dollars for what I have in my system, and I did not want to pay that. I was not happy about that.
That's pricey out there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, okay. That's sort of like related to the AI stuff. Like, what is your sort of thoughts on this sort of pricing out of PCs? Because this is, I think, directly related to. Oh, it is kind of directly related to what's happening with AI.
I don't know that I have a nuanced opinion on that. I'm not familiar enough with the field. I very rarely buy parts or build computers, but um, in general, I think it's interesting that you see the sort of second order effect of these huge companies getting huge investments and then spending those investments on things that you and I want. Um, it's curious. Um, didn't see it coming. Um, and I guess this has probably happened with other things in the past. I'm sure there are some like historic analogy that I can't think of. Somebody buying up all the whatevers that people used to want. But um, yeah, I don't know. It feels like it's not temporary either, and probably at least as long as there is this massive arms race between the major labs, they're not going to slow down, and they're going to be willing to pay more than consumers to get the stuff. So I think consumers might be in a little bit of a tight spot for the near future,
Yeah,
as long as the labs need this stuff.
industry predictions are putting it somewhere at the earliest 2028 for things to sort of calm down, but I've seen numbers out to 2030. And who knows? Like by
So
that point, who knows what they're even working on, right? You might just have some other new project come along that pushes that even further.
yeah, I guess what I would hope for is that somebody would invent some specialized chip or something that is useful to large scale AI development, but not useful in consumer products. And then that would relieve some of the pressure. But I think the like using commodity hardware is probably really smart and a really good solution to their scaling problems. So they probably are not super interested in developing specialized solutions, unfortunately.
Well, that's what made Google
Um,
so successful early on. Like everyone else was doing these big, large deployments, and they were just like, let's buy a lot of gray box systems and then just run them together.
yeah, exactly. It's so smart. Unfortunately, it just works so well too. And like, let's throw Linux on all of them, right? And we don't have to deal with Sun or whatever was the company at the time. Um, yeah, I mean that strategy clearly works, and so yeah, unfortunate. And I think your RAM is probably going to be pricey for a while.
Yeah.